today, low-key, one of the most exciting palettes of the year. They are very far and few between. Today I'm going to be reviewing, doing two looks with the new Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes Moonlight palette. This came out of nowhere. I didn't know if you were gonna get a palette or not. Like, Makeup by Mario doesn't have a lot of palettes in his line, but when they come out, they are super popular. And it's funny because when the first few palettes launched from the brand at the initial launch date, I really wasn't into the formula. Especially, like, their still best-selling palette, probably. You all know it, you've all seen it. This is one of the best-selling palettes, and to me, quality was dry. I just didn't love it. And then he changed the game when he came out with this Ethereal Eyes palette. Loved the formula on this. And then he also launched like this neutral ones, and I actually liked the formula in this one as well. So I feel like his formula over time has gotten better and better. And this one is for my fellow cool toned lovers. And I feel like Mario has a true understanding of what cool tones really are. I know sometimes my eyes can be deceptive to me and I'll call a shade warm or cool that isn't super warm or cool. But this one, when you pair it next to other palettes, you'll see that it's pretty cool tones. I mean, you have like a little bit of a yellow base to this one and then a goldy shade, but the rest, they got a cool undertone. Now, this palette is available at Sephora if you're interested for $68. It has a hefty price tag, but personally, I think if the formula ends up being good as I expect it to today, I think it'll be worth it. We'll see. You know I won't hold back. It is also a limited edition palette, which is pretty true for Makeup by Mario. The original Ethereal Eyes palette launched for a little bit. Everybody loved it, and then he did another relaunch the previous year, but I believe, can you get this anymore? Anyways, it says limited edition. I believe it with Makeup by Mario. He plays no games, especially not over-launching products as well. We only have gotten like one palette a year from him. Now, he describes this as an iconic Moonlight-inspired palette with 12 universal neutral shades in 4 finishes to create your most versatile ethereal looks yet. Now, I know you want to get a good close look at this palette because it is beautiful. So I'm going to take you to the swatches and close-ups right now. So the box that the palette's going to come in is typical to all of the other boxes that Makeup by Mario stuff comes in. So on the back, you'll see the palette is manufactured in the USA, assembled in the DR, and has a 12-month shelf life. As far as where it's made, it's the same in the last Ethereal Light palette, so just know that it's no different there. The packaging itself, again, in line with the simplicity of the rest of the Makeup by Mario line. No bells and whistles, which I think is fine. I do love bells and whistles, but it's his aesthetic and he has stuck to it. I like that the shade names have no names. Like, I love that about the brand. Okay, are you ready? You do get a nice mirror here, and here are the shades. Now, in here, you are getting 7 mattes, 1 true shimmer, and 4 kind of glimmery, sparkly, ethereal style formulations. I think it's really easy to tell how cool or warm a palette is when I place it next to others, so we're going to do that later on in the swatches. But first, let's do the swatching. I'm going to go vertically here, just like this, since that seems to be the way that the palette's kind of organized. So we're going to start off with the first 3. The shade actually has a little bit of satin in it. Now that I'm feeling it, you can see there's some, maybe you can't, but I can see there's some reflex, not reflex, but I don't know the word, but there's a glow to them. So we have the first shade, which, can you see it's not a completely flat matte? Then we have this taupey, cool gray shade. And then this has a hint more warmth to it, but it is a true dark neutral matte brown. We have a glimmery row here. This looks like it has a little bit of blue reflex in here. Oh yeah, you can see the blue reflex here. These are the money makers of the palette. These are what is going to sell the palette. They're going to sparkle very ethereal-like on the eyes. They swatch sheer, but it's more about the impact of them on the eyes and when the light hits, how they reflect off of the light. But you can see they have a very sheer base, which initially by swatch doesn't excite me, but because I have prior experience with this palette, I am excited about this. Okay, working down, this is another ethereal style shade, and this is how they're swatching. So this one leans more on the gray side, didn't swatch that great, but they all feel very smooth and silky. Wow, that navy swatch horrible. We'll have to see about that on the eyes. Navy is a tough one for sure. That one's always patchy, but hopefully that's not upon application. Let's finish off with the smoky shades. This is more of a true shimmer shade. Then we have our two mattes. And these are going to give some very deep smoky eyes. I hope the shimmers don't look too close on the eyelids, because other than those, I think you can get a lot of versatility with this palette. But here are all of the shades of the Moonlight palette from Makeup by Mario. Very cool toned, very icy, very wintry. I'm excited to just get these on the eyes. A couple shades of concern via swatch, but if this is the same formula as the old palette, I'm not too worried. So I put it right next to last year's palette because you can truly see how much more cool toned this looks. And this palette wasn't even super warm, but I feel like this palette is bringing out the warmth in the original Ethereal Eyes palette. I feel like we have an overlap maybe with a shade or two, like in the browns, right? But I would say generally speaking that they're different enough, different vibes. Here we have the OG Master Mattes, which I'm not a huge fan of the formula in this one, but I wanted you to be able to see how warm some of these shades pull as well. There are some true neutral tones in the original, but here's how they look next to one another. When this palette launched, my brain went immediately to the Viseart Cool Mattes 2 palette. There's a purple row here that is not present in the Makeup by Mario palette, and of course this is all matte. But just so you can see them beside each other, there are most definitely a few similarities. I don't think Bridal Satin is available from Viseart anymore, but again, similar vibe. I would say these are quite different, but they reminded me of each other. I just wanted to show you. And the OG Viseart palette, right? Couple shades, but generally speaking, quite different. I did forget to mention one thing about the packaging. This year's is plastic. The original Ethereal Eyes was metal. I feel like it's a little bit heavier, and then when you touch it, it's cold, it's metal. But this one is plastic, which honestly, I don't mind that it's plastic. It still feels very sturdy, and the mirror does hold itself up. Now, the 4 finishes in here that you're getting are glossy shimmers, which are, you know, these beauties over here. There's also suede satins, suede mattes, and natural metallics. Now, the suede satin is a brand new formula to Makeup by Mario, which I believe is this shade right here. And it says EM8 is a satin cool gray, so I think it's these two. Anyways, I'm ready to just get this on the eyes. Come a little closer and let's get a drink. Now, I use a light hand in my swatches because that helps me really tell how a color is going to apply, or warns me if a color might apply bad. So this is going to be our main focus for this first look. I'm going to start off with this satin cream shade right here. Quite pigmented, very soft formula. You are going to get some fallout, so you might want to be careful to not do concealer like I haven't today. It depends on the looks you're going for, but especially if you're reaching for deeper shades and a darker look, be careful about the fallout. So that's the perfect shade for just brightening up under the brow bone. You see what a difference and lift that gives. That's a lost art. I feel like nobody's doing that anymore, but I still need my cream underneath my brow bone. Next, I'm going for EM3, a matte mauve brown. Look at this. See that kickback? Tap off that brush. It almost has some gray in there. Just circling this in the crease. Using BK Beauty, Nikki LaRose N13, one of my favorite crease brushes. And look at that really pretty, subtle shadow that's giving. I'm looking at the palette right now. I feel like there's a great variety in depths, which I feel like a lot of palettes don't excel on. It just improves the versatility of a palette, but you have some lighter shades, some mid-tone shades, some deeper shades. The only thing I'm worried about are the shimmers, looking a little bit too close to one another. But other than that, it looks like a great shade selection to me. Okay, Wayne Goss 18, we are going for it. Halo Eye. Just patting that down. Same thing in here. Slowly start circling that around. I'm gonna go in with a clean brush in a second, but making sure we have nice, even pigment everywhere. Just wiping this brush on a brush mat, getting that color off. Okay, I'm taking the tip of it now and working it out. I want to see if it's easy to work out or not, and if it's not, I have some tricks up my sleeve. Not too bad. You can see I have a little bit of harshness still. I'm gonna take my time. What I like though is it's not a formula that is over blending. So when I say a formula over blends, it's as I move it back and forth, we lose the opacity and the depth that we got from laying the color down. That's not happening here. It's taking a little bit of patience, but navies can be tough. But you see it's holding that depth very nicely. Okay, not bad. I'm taking an even smaller brush, completely clean from What's Up Beauty, and going back and forth on the edge. And we can add a little bit more navy after we layer a little bit more, but that's really nice. I'm going back in with that original crease color, and that can also help soften the edges. Not going through the whole crease, but just over the edges of that navy. And then I definitely want to use this shimmering opal shade because it has some blue reflex in there that's gonna make for a sickening look. Been a while since I've done a good halo eye, and I'm even carrying that up towards the brow bone. That will give into a more ethereal, angelic look. How gorgeous is that? And I am going to apply just a little bit more of this navy. Bring back some of that original color on the lid. It did not overblend at all, but it never hurts to just bring that back to life. Oh my gosh. How gorgeous is that? Now this one is going to be different from the others because no other of the shimmering shades have a blue shift to them. So it will have a complete different effect on the lid than all of the other shades. And more fun because we're going there. I'm going to do a touch of this black, keeping it low towards the lash line, but really smoking it a little bit. I'll have to try it as an eyeliner as well. That's how you can tell if a black is really good. But for now, we're concentrating that. Here, I only used just a little bit, but you see how that added even more depth. Then last thing before we do lower lashes, I'm going to take just a little bit more of this right in here. Nothing I'm about to do on this lower lash line is going to surprise you. Just taking this navy, and I'm pretty much repeating the same pattern as above. I did want to add, I did not get any fallout with these colors, despite them being difficult colors and powdery. I was very careful to tap off my brush using very light hands. I was mindful that these could produce some fallout, but I didn't get any, which is great. Like, I mean, barely a dab in the black. Keeping this away from the tear duct. And then, this is from Rephr Brushes. Bring some of that sparkle down. You can do like a cool sparkle tear if you want. Anyways. Now this one I should have done before I put on my concealer, but focusing in the navy, tap off the excess. I'm just going to press this on my lash line, and this technique normally produces some fallout, so I'm trying to be extra careful because I didn't think about doing this until now. This gets it nice and dark. Love it! This palette screams Halo Eye. I'm not going to do it for this next look, but just know I really want to. If I would, I could. Anyways, I'm starting off again, Satin Cream shade. This is one of those colors that's just going to be used in every single look for me, and you can get a really natural look with this if you just put it all over the lid, because it can build up in pigment. What do I want to do? I'm going to go in with this shade. This is a matte gray beige, a grayish if you will. This is going to be our background color to start off the look in the crease. Such a good natural shadow. Tons of kickback. What you need to watch out for shades with a lot of kickback is you run through it faster because a lot of the pigment just goes in the air or on your face as fallout. This is a really great kind of contouring shade as well. A bit gray, but you can take it down the nose if you wanted to. BK A502, I have to test out a good deep brown shade. Probably my most used brown, or probably my most used eyeshadow color ever. I always need a dark brown that's matte. I'm taking this, and is it blending easy? It is. You can build up a lot of depth. God. Take away the part where I said God. His mattes are so buttery and pigmented. I love his matte formula. I'm not noticing any different from the previous palette in terms of quality, which is a good thing because I love the previous Ethereal Eyes. It was one of my favorite palettes of the year that it launched, which is why I was having a dance party in the beginning of this video. And I've carried that dark brown into the crease, getting it nice and smoky. I really wanted to test out the buildability, and it's one of those matte shadows where you can just layer it more and you get more and more depth. And that is a sign of a really high quality shadow. If you can make one singular matte shade look like multiple shades on the eyelid because of you layering it and building it, and it blends with ease, that's a good quality shadow. Stunning. Okay, this is the part where I play with these shimmers because I need to make sure that we have some differences here. So I'm going to start off with the gold one right here. It's a bronzy gold. Ooh, that's so pretty. It's taking everything in me right now not to just carry it over the whole eyelid and call it a day. Now, the thing with his shimmering shadows, they have so much reflection. They feel very thin and satiny, but they don't really fall on the lid. With some glitter shadows, you have to be careful because the glitters don't really adhere to the eyelid as well. These don't need that. They just stick to the eyelid and look really sparkly. And they have that really thin feel to them. Okay, I'm going to take this one now, which seems a little less glittery than the others. He says this is a shimmering golden. It's not that gold. It looks like a grayish taupe to me. It has less reflex and like glitter particles, if you will, than the first shade. Almost looks more satin on the lid. They look different enough. They're in the same depth levels, more or less. Like, I don't think it was necessary to have both. Honestly, kick this one out. But it's fine. Let's see. Let's make sure this one. What is this? 4, 5, 6, 7. A shimmering taupe. This one has more similar glitters as that first golden one we put. Yeah, like I don't think these two were this one needs kicked out. I like both of these, but this is the one I could have done without. But that's me being nitpicky, honestly. Very nitpicky, actually. This, I don't know if it looks more gray because it's over the brown or if the color is just more gray. But can you tell I have 3 different colors on my eyelid right now? Not really. So if I'm being nitpicky, which I am in my reviews, that's the one thing that I don't love about this. But even then, I'm honestly not that mad, like at all. And then I do want to see how the black is as eyeliner. I need to do like a killer smoky eye with this quad over here. Like a gray dark smoky eye. I'll definitely get there at some point. tap off the excess and press. You can tell a good black by how it lines the eye. And it's lining very well. I am being very careful to not have fallout, but if you're not careful, you will have fallout. Okay, this is nice and black, and you can even take a small blending brush if you wanted to do this technique and just blend it over that line, and that will give you a smokier liner. Nice. For some reason I thought this was gonna look warmer than it looks. It's like a cool tone. I've built it up to be quite smoky. Oh, and I don't know if you can see, despite my efforts, I still did get a little bit of fallout with this look. For the lower lash line, normally I wouldn't probably use this shade, but I haven't used this shade yet, and I want to, because this is a satin formulation, like just a regular shimmer. Just want to get a feel for it. I'm going to have to experiment a little bit more. But that is applying nice. It's a very small surface area I'm applying to. You can see it definitely is more blue pulling because it's gray. It would look much better incorporated into this eye. But, okay, very nice. I mean, to make it look a little bit more cohesive, I'm going to take some of this, press it. Don't want the glitters to fall, though I don't get much glitter fallout with this formula. You would think that I would. I love this palette. It's so good. Okay. Let me finish the rest of my makeup. But we're loving this. This one's my favorite one, obviously. But I should do the inner corner wing. Maybe another time. But anyways, this review I knew wasn't going to be a super in-depth review because I already knew how I was going to feel about it. If you enjoyed the original Ethereal Eyes palette, you're going to love this so long as you like the color story, of course. It's still on par with that quality. Really easy to use, easy to blend, buttery mattes in here. Only thing is the fallout. The shimmers adhere to the eyelid even without a glitter glue. And I think the color story of this is also quite versatile. This is going to be one of the best palettes of the year to create a smoky eye with, and come on you guys, come on, let's make smoky eyes a thing for this winter because we have the perfect palette for this. The black is really awesome in this one as well. Really not too many notes about this. I love it. If you're into the more cool toned color stories, I think you're going to enjoy this. This is going to be a great treat to you. Maybe wait until the Sephora sale, which is coming up towards the end of the month. But if you're into cool tones, this is definitely worth the pickup and gets my stamp of approval. So if you've also tried this palette out recently and picked it up, can you share your thoughts about it down below? I think it's a great addition into his line as well. If you have all of the palettes that he has in his collection, this fits right in seamlessly. It's not too close to the other ones. Of course, especially with the mattes, there are going to be some repeat shades considering the amount of neutrals in here, but this is a different vibe for sure than the other palettes. I'm just talking to talk because I feel like I'm not doing this palette justice. It's an awesome, awesome palette, and I'm very happy with it thus far. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you like it if you happened to like it, and subscribe to my channel if you aren't already for more reviews, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.